treasure. Thank you for coming. This is the Just Bloody Post-it podcast for people using social media to share their thing and power their work. Chats of inspiration with people who are doing it boldly, with the kind of screw it, I'm just going to try this attitude that actually makes it work. Marketing is testing and talking. It's a conversation when it's done well. Our guest today is Olga Thompson, a talented, funny, full-hearted conversationalist indeed.
We need to rebrand failure as something pretty sexy. Are you failing? Oh my gosh. Sometimes you've got to walk around and the broken bits are jangling around. That's how it goes, and I think there's this misconception, again, social media, that people out there that are doing what they're doing, creating, building, are put together and they're not.
Olga's a comedian, actor, singer, mental health advocate and an ambassador for the charity Kidscape. She's the mum of 3 boys and the child of Cypriot immigrants to the UK, a thread that runs through her work. I think that's all the important things. I have permission to call her Big Fat Greek Mother. That's her Instagram handle. She uses Instagram to share sketches about characters like the school mums and Real Housewives of Instagram, and also as a platform to talk with scroll-stopping openness about mental health and bullying issues that have affected her and her family. So that it doesn't catch you by surprise, in this episode we discuss suicide, bullying, depression, childbirth and breakdown. But first, I asked Olga whether a performer had always been in her, even in her old job as a teacher.
Anyone that is involved in education knows that you are performing all day long to kids, especially when you do, that's enough.
Do teachers have like performing personalities almost?
Oh, totally. You pretend to be scary. I mean, I've had to pretend to be scary when I don't feel very scary. And the year 11s are huge and you just have to try and be, that's enough. No, I've always performed, but teaching was something that just sort of happened while the boys were small. And then they got a bit bigger and it was a way of income, really. So I'm actually a performing arts lecturer by trade. And then, just did a bit of supply, bit of this, bit of that. And then until kind of like my acting started to take off again, because we all know, Helen, that unfortunately when motherhood comes, it does become you are a little bit lost at sea for a while, working out your career, your position. Sometimes it's multiple careers. I don't know any woman that does just one thing. I know librarians who are chefs. I know, musicians who run a freelance business. It kind of anything and everything kind of goes, really. So,
but was there a light bulb moment, a change, a time when you went, I'm going all in on the acting, the performing, the singing, I'm going to try and make something of this? Or again, was that actually quite an organic process?
Both. In the sense that that's always been in me as a youngster, as a child, growing up. And then I had a career before the children. But then when the kids came along, everything just sort of disappeared. And I don't resent that because that's what I wanted. And I did stay at home with the boys because it wasn't financially viable for me to go to work because the boys are all very close in age. It's only 4 years between all 3 of them.
Holy smoke.
So
that is close. Holy smoke.
Smoking. And that railroaded me, but that's also what I wanted, those 3 boys. But round about the time that my 3rd son was born, and obviously I've spoken openly online about my mental health and the fact that I had a breakdown. That was around the time as I broke into lots of different pieces. And then as those pieces started to come back together, I found myself connecting with what I always wanted to be and who I was. And anyone that knows that suffered anything, whether it's an illness or some kind of trauma or anything like that, when you survive that, nothing really is that scary. So dressing up in wigs and making comedy and doing all of that, to other people that might seem terrifying, but to me, it's not scary because I've done the scary part, really.
Nothing could be harder than that, and certainly putting something up there on the internet or out there in a theatre
totally.
is no biggie anymore.
Absolutely. No, that doesn't really scare me. I think this is more scary, Helen, in a funny way. Like, just not obviously you're lovely, but like just talking like me, I find that more
exposing,
more scarier.
Yeah, it's a bit. You've created your comfort zone. Explain to somebody who might not have seen your, what shall I call it, your online persona, the big fat Greek mother. What is your comedy?
It's like a kebab house with characters in it, and they all wear different wigs, and some of them are Greek and some of them are not. And they're all kind of caricatures. They're like the old school Tracy Ullman show, the Harry Enfield show. I love the idea of the old sketch show with larger than life characters. There is an opening for that to make a comeback in the UK at the moment, so I'm kind of riding the wave in the hope that we'll get to make a TV show out of it one day. I took a show to Edinburgh this summer with some of the characters in it, based in a North London hairdressing salon where I grew up. And I'm just currently taking that on tour at the moment.
So, I mean, you do have all these skills, as many performers do. They can also sing, dance, act, whatever. But is the main goal and passion for you to create the comedy sketches, to find a bigger audience for that? Is that the passion?
Oh, absolutely.
That's the dream?
Yeah, I mean, my dream has always been television. That's been the goal. And I know a lot of people would say, well, social media is the way forward. You know, you should be just focus on that. Who cares about TV? But TV is a much slower medium. But TV is the house of the Harry Enfields and the Tracy Ullmans. And that kind of comedy, and the Catherine Tates, who, for some reason, everything on social media is really speeded up and really dumbed down. And when people come and see the show, they say, gosh, it's so different to what you do online. I feel like online, we're all, you know, it's a post you put out the other day, actually, Helen, about I make a reel and it kind of comes out and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And it's a real hit and miss when you're putting stuff out there online, because it's very bam, bam, bam. Whereas television is, for me, is home, because it's slower, it's measured, it has longevity. And actually, TV people don't really, at the moment, they're not massively interested in social media. It will change. Like I said, I'm riding the wave. Eventually the two will be in sync, but they're moving at two different orbits. But for me, it's always been to make a TV show, always.
When I reflect on social media and all things, like, we still read books, we still listen to the radio, we still watch TV programs. Yes. And we use social media. Like, there's this temptation to think that if you don't get onto one bandwagon, everything else will disappear. And that's just actually not the case. We still go to the theatre anyway. And also, around what you put on Instagram, I always say to people, like, if you've got something really good and really perfect, don't put it on Instagram. Like, that's not the place for your best stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know,
that's because people get very tied up in, you know, being perfect and being ready before they put anything out there. And I'm like, well, you know, how about you throw some stuff out there, and then what are you going to do with your really thoughtful, well-crafted stuff? Where are you going to put that?
Well, I mean, Instagram, for me, this is what I call it. I've always called it, it's the shop window. It's the shop front. It's the same with you when you put out your amazing posts, which are always really helpful about, you know, I always learn something when you post about, you know, how to approach reels and hashtags, and, you know, but that's obviously your shop window, but there's more. People have to go in a little bit deeper to explore. And I think it is a shop window.
It's just a hook. It's a taste. Having said that, when I was looking through your feed in preparation for chatting to you, your content is great quality. You put a lot of time into the little sketches that you put out there. What's the time investment like for you when you're creating one of your little videos? Does somebody help you? How does it all work?
Oh, no, I do everything myself. My editing skills, I have to say, are pretty cool. I have literally, but that's because I began 7 years ago. I came onto Insta 7 years ago. I'd love to be one of those amazing people that blew up overnight, but it's never happened. I don't think it's ever going to happen, and that's okay.
Most people plug on.
I mean, it's been years. You know, I never really became the big fat Greek mother until about after the breakdown I had? And I mean, I wasn't even using social media really then. I just had YouTube, and then I'd send WhatsApp messages to friends, please watch my YouTube channel. So editing takes a long time. Filming takes a long time, but it's second nature. You wouldn't say to a chef, "Oh my gosh, you must have spent hours making this blah 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 blah, blah casserole," and they'd be like, "No, I threw it together." And they have that skill, but they also have the ability to throw together. And I think that's what I have. I have great skills, communication, performing skills. Oh, I sound
No,
really,
I love
sound
to hear
cringe.
somebody talk about it, about their strengths directly. I love it.
Yeah, I do. I know I have that. And I have strong editing skills. I don't think I'm fast enough for what Reels is. I tried the other day, I thought I'm going to be savvy like the young people. I took a trending sound and I made a reel and it died. And I thought, you know what? I literally just don't care. Whenever people say, "Oh, do this and that," do you know what? Just do your own thing. I think if you do your own thing, it's fresh, it's you, it grows eventually. I think trying to get on a trend or use this hashtag and point to this and point to that and point up your nose. It's like,
is it a good use of your time? If you've got a recipe that works, I mean, it's like, consider it. There may be a time in 6 weeks, 3 months where you'll go, "Oh, okay, inspired. I can make a reel. I know how to make something funny in 8 seconds." But it's a very short bit of storytelling. It's a different language almost.
It is a different language. And I've been at, TV meetings, and I was with someone with Warner last year, and they were like, Instagram, they did say that for a lot of times when they take Instagram or TikTok stuff that's on TikTok and they try and make a TV show out of it, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work because it's a much faster medium and she said, we need story. We need a story. We need a warm, funny story because everyone can do characters. Everyone can do skits. It's moving so fast, but we need a story. And what are TV companies looking for? They're looking for a modern day Only Fools and Horses.
Man, that stands the test of time. My husband watches it a lot still, Only Fools and Horses. It's just a beautiful, brilliant programme. You've talked a little bit about what industry people say to you about social media, about the content that's on there, but do you do it because a following is helpful and necessary for an artist now?
Yes, but also I just really flipping enjoy it. I really love dressing up as different characters. I've said to myself, when I lose the love, it's time to stop, and the love hasn't gone. And I think it is centered around that breakdown I had because that's what I did growing up, as this 5-year-old kid. That's always what I did. I dressed up and I wanted to be an actor. And it happened, but to a point. And then I got married and had children. And I feel like it's joy. As long as I feel joy when I do this, doesn't matter how many people like it, that will come out of the page. And I've gotten some amazing opportunities, which haven't been off the back of, oh my gosh, she's got 4,000 likes on a reel, or nothing's ever gone viral. But there's been a warmth and a resilience and a joy that has attracted either brands or projects that have come about, which I have really loved doing. And it's come out of just being myself. Do you know what I mean?
Being discoverable when somebody's out there to discover you, the right person.
Yeah. Really do your thing. I think that is the only way.
I've been reading a few things recently that just reinforce that be yourself message, which sounds like an easy thing to be, but actually it's a hard thing to really be yourself because we're often diluting, we're often hiding actually. But what we hide is our most interesting special bits, and the bits that will make it fly, and the bits that really will connect. I think the first time I noticed there was more to you than the big characters and the fun and the exuberance was a long and thoughtful post that you shared about the breakdown that you suffered after your youngest.
Yes, after the youngest, yeah.
And you shared that really openly on social media. Is that just your way? It's open.
It's just my way. Yeah. Because I'm well, and why, we talk openly about people that have illnesses and they come over through the illnesses. And I just think I've got nothing. I'm not ashamed of that journey. For me, I had post-traumatic stress disorder. So what it was the breakdown was an event was triggered by childbirth. A lot of women suffer mental health issues that are triggered through pregnancy. For me, that happened, and I had to come to terms with a buried trauma from early on in life, and that was triggered by the birth of my third son. It's so common. It's so normal. We don't realize it, but eventually, I did get better, and the world did fall apart. But I just know that I never thought I would come out when I was in it. I never thought I would come out of it. But then when I began to come out of it, and I found life and songs and stories, somewhere in the darkness, there were these stories and these songs that started to evolve, and it was based around one character called Alexia. And then gradually other characters came out, and then they all became centered around a story, which is El Grego of Hornsey, that I've taken to the Fringe. And it just began to grow and grow. And I don't know, Helen. I have these fears sometimes. I think, what am I doing? What's the point with it? And then I just have to go, sod it. You can't answer those. If you spend time trying to answer those questions, you'll never get anywhere. And you don't know none of us know where we'll end up. Oftentimes we end up in incredible places, but they might not be the places
we
that we
never
thought.
foresaw it. We never foresaw it.
We
That's
never
the thing.
foresaw
Yeah.
it, Helen. This is the thing. And I think a lot of women do give up because they thought they were going somewhere and they ploughed somewhere, but then they ended up somewhere else. And it's just so many kind of like laid by dreams, or get so many messages. You must do as well. So many messages from women that say, what's the point? I'm finished now. There's so many other people doing it better than me. It's just
you're the only person who can do it your way.
Absolutely.
It's almost. But partly, I think the journey is the thing. That's
yes.
Like the destination is not the thing.
Yes.
It's the joy of having conversation like we are today.
Yes.
Or you must get when you share more personal stories, you must get some incredibly moving connections from women or people who've experienced similar things.
I do. And I always try and be careful because I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to say do this or go for counselling or take medication. But I will say that there is hope, and it is not impossible, and that you're not alone. And I think, it's a lot of people do talk about mental health issues, and I think it's really important. But I think my voice is a different voice in that I still have my blips. My blips will come, and I know when that happens. I've been online too much, when I'm overtired. That's it. That's when it will be. They can be triggers. I don't massively spiral like I did, years ago. But I feel like my voice is important because I'm an older mother. I'm someone that has passed through that stage, that breakdown stage. I survived. I'm a survivor. And I can just encourage people that way. Do you know what I mean?
There's plenty of space for voices of women in our age group. Oh my goodness. There is yards, square meters, square miles of space for more voices of women our age,
all layers of voices. And I am learning so much from younger women online. I'm not going, oh, that's not, I'm learning. Yeah. I'm learning. I'm engaging. I went out with some amazing comedians online, female comedians who I adore. They were like 10 years younger than me, and there was a part of me that was like, oh gosh, do I fit into it? And then I thought, I don't care. I just don't care. I'm me, and they learn from me, but I learn from them. We learn from each other.
Mixed age group friendship is just underrated. It's
so
such
healthy.
A great thing. It really is.
It's so healthy. We need it.
It brings us life.
Absolutely.
In all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
So, I'm almost like there's a dual mission in your public profile. On the one hand, it is to spread joy and light through your performance work, but also it's to have these conversations, which in terms of happening in public, that's still in its infancy, talking about child loss and birth trauma. And it's just stuff we're only just beginning to talk about.
Absolutely.
So that's, oh gosh, keep going. Those women who think somebody's already doing what you're doing or talking about what you're talking about. Keep going. You are an anti-bullying advocate as well. You work with Kidscape. Talk to us about that.
Oh, do you know what, Helen? That's the best thing I've ever done.
How did it come about? Did it come about because of your Instagram?
Yeah, they contacted me because I've always spoke about it. And then, we just started to connect through that.
Well, there's two things, I suppose. You experienced bullying as a child yourself, but also there's Grace.
Yes, and that's,
Is that what the connection was?
I suppose that was the catalyst. So for those of you that don't know, my amazing, beautiful niece, Grace, committed suicide about 3 years ago. And then my sister-in-law has also set up a charity called Grace to Restore, which helps young women going through bullying, but also who are feeling that, desperate like that. And the two charities seem to collide. Yeah, and then around that time, I became an ambassador for Kidscape, and I do a lot with the other charity as well. It's just so important. And there are so many women. I get so many DMs from mothers of teenage girls who say, my daughter is struggling. I don't know who to talk about. Even women with like prominent feeds who say, I can't even talk to anyone about this. I don't know where to go. I feel like a failure. But it is, again, we need to normalize this for the mothers, but in this instance, I'm talking about young women because that's my field, for young women, because it is normal. The more that shame and secrecy there is, the more this festers and the more we lose these precious lives,
I'm so sorry that you lost Grace. And I'll put a link to all the details that you just shared into the show notes for anybody who it might help today. And I think you're right. I think there is shame around perhaps you haven't done a good enough job as a parent. Yeah. Shame that your child isn't successful and happy. Shame from the child that people aren't being kind to them or including them, or just those small acts that can just be so horrifying when they happen to you when you're young.
Oh, totally. That there is, I went through school not knowing that wasn't okay. And it was so traumatic, but now there is help. But also bullying is worse because when I went home, I bit my pillow and I cried and it was done. Now, kids, they can get to you on your phone. Kids can get to other kids. So
how do you suggest we help them with that? You must have worked with Kidscape on that. How do you?
Oh yeah.
I've got a teenager and a tweenager. How do I make our house a safe place?
I don't think you can sort of make it safe and make it bully proof. I don't think there's such a thing, but I think being open and your children knowing that they can talk to you. For me, I couldn't talk to my parents. I just couldn't talk to my parents about it. And then around the time that the bullying got the worst, my mum had a baby. And so I just didn't talk about it.
Don't want to bother her. Parents, kids look after their parents, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, it was a different time back then, Helen. We didn't speak about a lot of things. We didn't speak about Me Too. We didn't talk about, it just was a different time, But I would just say, be open with your child, be in touch with what they're doing. Like, just notice, if they act a little bit different, then that something could be up. But Kidscape are amazing because they provide workshops for parents. They have a phone line for parents. I actually called them years ago, before I was on Instagram, when my eldest son was going through some really traumatic bullying. Actually, there was a phase of that in junior school. And I remember ringing up this Kidscape place, not knowing anything about it. And then who knew that years later, I'd be doing what I do and I'd be an ambassador for them. It's literally the best thing I've ever done in my whole life. Like, the best.
Like you say, you never know actually what will be the result
there you go.
of you being visible or being out there.
People that are listening to this podcast, do not be afraid. Sometimes we're trying to control the outcome whilst we're trying to go on the journey at the same time. You can't. It's like excuse my French, it's almost like trying to go to the toilet with your pants on. It's just not going to happen. Well, it's going to be a mess. Do you know what I mean? Yank your pants off and go, and you'll be. Yeah, and you know what? what is meant for you will come to you. And like you say, Helen, that visibility will bring something which is so specific for you, and it will just come. And we have to fail as well, and we have to mess up. But that's part of it. It's so not, again, this is another thing, Helen, failure. And I love that you talk about that. You know, what is failure? Like, we need to rebrand failure as something pretty sexy. Are you failing? Oh my gosh, that means you're going for things.
I know, it's just like that's, in fact, it's almost
amazing.
It's always all we talk about when we get together with girlfriends. It's like, what's going wrong? Because that's where all the juicy stuff is. Like, what's going wrong at the minute? Because what can we learn from that? You know, all the stuff that's not right, or, you know, when things are fine, you're like, that's boring, move on. You know, it's that. So it's juicy. It's really good.
It's juicy, and it's healthy to sit with your failure and your disappointment. I don't even want to use the word failure because I hate that word. Disappointments.
Yeah, sit with your discomfort and not try and smooth it over with that. Like, it's a slightly millennial saying, I think, but toxic positivity, where we're like, you'll be okay. It's okay. It's fine. Look on the bright side. Okay. And you're like,
it's not okay. Yeah. You're broken. Walk around. Sometimes you've got to walk around and the broken bits are jangling around. That's how it goes, you know, and I think there's this misconception, again, social media, that people out there that are doing what they're doing, creating, building, are put together, and they're not. They're really not. They're still broken bits, but unfortunately, we don't always get to jangle our broken bits because, I don't know, but there are accounts that openly jangle their broken bits, and there are accounts that don't, but I think just being true to yourself.
You have 3 boys. That's a lot of boys.
That's a lot of boys.
How did that?
Lots of boys that eat
a lot of food. What do they? I just want to know what they make of your online life. Are they just underwhelmed? Are they engaged? What do you?
Well,
what do you
they're not
read?
engaged because that's social suicide. Wow.
Have you seen what my mum's posted? Awesome.
And I think I recognise this social. They're really proud of me. They are so proud of me. Especially if I'm having a low moment, they're like, "You're amazing, mum." Like, they really are, because they've grown up with me just as a man taking out the washing. That's all they've known. And I think what cemented that was, you know, a few years ago when I got some attack on a horrible website which said, "Who does she think she is? Her family must be so embarrassed. Her husband and boys must be so embarrassed." And that comment, literally, like, I wanted to give everything up and delete everything. And I mean, I wasn't as strong as I am now. But the boy said, "Why are you going to listen to that, Mum? Who are they? We are so proud of you." And I was like, "Are you really? Really, are you?" "Yeah, but my mum's different. Look what my mum does. She's cool." And I just thought, okay, you know, and then as long as they're happy, I don't care. I don't care. My kids are happy. They're proud. I now do a job that I can, you know, be around for them after school. Things fit in, they're whole, they're fulfilled. They don't want to comment on my posts, and they don't want me to comment on theirs, hence why I've been blocked. Well, when you see your son looking handsome, and you say handsome with a heart, and you can see it says big fat Greek mother, and then you get blocked. I mean, I shouldn't have done it, but he was handsome boy.
Couldn't help it.
Handsomest
boy.
There's nothing worse. I mean, I don't even know. Can you imagine? I can't imagine how embarrassing that must be. Your mum liking your posts. I mean, that's bad, right?
I don't know what the etiquette is.
The etiquette is just don't do it.
My daughter likes everything in her feed. Like. I'm like, wow, likes don't count for much. She's just likes everything. So it's all different. You're back out doing stuff in real life. I've been seeing on your stories. That must be amazing.
Oh, do you know what, Helen? It's lovely connecting with an audience, and it's lovely because you haven't got the pressure of, oh my gosh, how many likes has this video got? Oh, is it being seen? Is it visibility? You know, you're on stage, and it's a giving and it's a communication. I'm not saying that you don't give when you're online. Of course you do. But your response from the audience is mutual, and it works at the same time. So as I create on stage, you know, the audience and I meet in the middle, and I give them love and they give me love, and we mutually feed each other, and the performance flies. When you're online, it doesn't work that way because you're waiting to see who likes a product that you've just done. I much prefer being live.
It's emotional, I think. I went to the West End, I don't know, a month or two ago, and it brought me to tears. Just the feeling of being in a room with an orchestra playing actual music, and I couldn't even explain why. It was so emotional, but it was. Thank you so much. What's next for you? Is there anything coming up that you want to tell us about? What's exciting?
Yes, I'm performing with Weapons of Mass Hilarity on the 4th of December in King's Cross, and I'm hoping to bring my show down to Camden before Christmas.
It's been a total, utter, unadulterated pleasure to speak to you properly.
Thank you so much for having me, and this has been so fun.
Maybe it's a silly observation because obviously, but when I hung up from this call, I just thought there is so much more to a person than we see online, all the dreams and passions and stories. And as Olga said, what we put out there is just a taste, it's just a hook, a flavour, the shop window. There is always so much more. I'm so grateful to you, Olga, for your honesty and laughs. Thank you, Greek mother. Great to have a platform in this podcast to delve a bit deeper with people. I was chatting to Suze, the producer, about the numbers. We were having a look at how many people are listening every week this series, and how when someone gives you half an hour of their time, then that means a lot. So thank you very much. There are links to the charities we spoke about in this show in the show notes. If you need them, you should be able to click to see that information wherever you're listening to this podcast. And while you're there, you can subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode. Write to me on Instagram if you'd like to chat about this one. I'll see you next time. Lots of love from me to you. Goodbye.